Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here to learn more about Dr. Contact Lens and how one doctor has made this a super successful launch in his practice and how he's enabling patients to easily order from him and take advantage of that scenario. So with me today, I have Dr. Clarin, who is the owner of Clarin Eyecare, located in Miami, Florida. So thank you for being here with us today, so people can learn more about your practice and how you and your staff are utilizing Dr. Contact Lens with great success.
Thank you for having me, Brianna.
So Dr. Clarin, tell us a little bit about your practice and the vision you brought to life within your practice.
My practice started with my father 45 years ago, and I've since taken it over. We've expanded to 2 locations, and we have 5 doctors. So it's grown pretty fast over the last 15 years. And most of that has been by bringing in technology innovation and just bringing things to my patients that I would want if I were the patient in the practice. From technology, from OCTs and Optimaps, topography, online check-in, contact lens ordering online, obviously. These are the things that separate our businesses from optometry of the past and are what are going to bring us to the next level.
That's great. What's one thing that makes your practice different from your surrounding competition and that keeps you motivated every day in your practice? So being in South Florida, let's kind of preface this a little bit because I'm also here. There's a lot of us. So what makes your practices different and what keeps your patients connected to your practice?
Just always looking at what we can do for our patients. It's maybe a little different where you are in South Florida. Where I am, customer service is not too common. So just going above and beyond for people, just smiling when you answer the phone really can set you apart from your competitor down the street. So we take that and we just take the same patient-centric approach that I think anybody watching this thinks they do. You just got to make sure that you're constantly trying to improve it because the marketplace is constantly changing and patients' expectations are constantly changing.
And what have you done differently if you look back from Eyecare from 35 years ago and how those patients were engaged and how those patients are still engaged with your practice? How are you able to get them incorporated into all of these changes?
Just keeping the lines of communication open. I think that what we do starts with a relationship with our patient, but the relationship doesn't really end in the chair with us as the doctors. It really is a relationship with the entire office. So as we've gotten busier, I see patients that, well, I don't see them anymore as patients. I just say hi to them in the office. And they still have that same connection that we started, that my father started 40 years ago, because the entire office lives and breathes that same philosophy of just taking care of patients. So I mean that's the way to keep growing and keep going forward and keep people connected over time.
That's great because I live in that same kind of practice, right? Where it's been here for 40 years, really looking back at what's keeping those patients coming back is it's listening to them, having superior customer service, and just doing that over and over again while implementing all that we want to in the medical side, but also the front end of our practices as well. So you've been using Dr. Contact Lens for a few years now. So what excited you about Dr. Contact Lens in the beginning?
I mean, I just love the option of being able to reorder on your phone, text message. Obviously, 1-800-Contacts was trying to eat our lunch, and all of these other companies that we were partnering with, and I say partner with some air quotes, were also not looking out for my best interests. So that made a big difference. But also, again, what I said just about bringing the experience to the patient that I would want if I were the patient. I would want a simple text reordering process. I would want a simple rebate situation. I just want to make things as easy as possible because that's what we've come to expect. Everybody expects to click a button and something shows up 2 days later at their front door. And I don't know why doctors or optometrists specifically would be behind that curve when we can get ahead of it.
That brings me to my next question here. You are ahead of our colleagues in how you implement things in your practice. So what is your mindset going into this process? What was happening in your office, or what were you looking for in a system that made you said, yes, and I love it, let's go?
I mean, one thing that kills the office flow is when people just come in for things that they didn't have to come in for. So Dr. Contact Lenses help with that, as have some other things that we've done. I mean, just being able to text a link to get payments for things has really made it a lot easier. So we know if someone's coming in that it's already been paid for. Just change is hard, I think, at any office, but you have to believe in what you're doing. And the biggest pain points I saw were how many times a day that front door would open and how many times a day people would come in for things that we really could take care of much easier. So, in every aspect, not just contact lenses, I'm looking for ways to decrease the frequency of people coming in for little things or spending time. We used to many years ago take half payments for glasses and do the other half, and we've stopped doing that, not because we want all the money up front, because you have to sit back down, you have to log into a computer, you have to make a fee slip, make a receipt. If you can do all these things at once or have all these things being done without a staff member doing them, it's going to increase the efficiency in your office, and it's going to be able to give a better experience to other people who are there for other reasons.
So whenever you're bringing something new into your practice, how do you get your staff on board with change? You alluded to it a little bit. And how do you lead them to your vision on what's best for that patient?
I think you just got to sell them on one, why it makes their lives easier. Now, in our office, because we've grown, I have a contact lens department. I call it a department. It's a main person with an assistant, but that's the contact lens department, and I didn't have to sell it to the whole office at first. I just had to make sure that she was on board, and obviously she's a great employee that's been with the business for 25 years. So she believes in what we're doing, and she's part of the reason why we've been so successful, because she was already doing those things for patients. So just sell it as a way of, this is better for the patient, it's better for the office, and it's better for our bottom line.
With other softwares that you've utilized, it comes down to really that patient engagement. For you to be successful and for you to continue to utilize the product, and with many other solutions that have come to the forefront, why is it important that it's all consolidated into one? Why does that matter?
Well, clearly, the fewer clicks and the fewer different websites you have to go to, and matching up from here to there, the better off it is for efficiency. I mean, we're doing this to give that patient experience and to give that office efficiency, because that gives that patient experience. So the more consolidated things get, the better you can give that to the patients. Plus, the easier it is on the staff. So I'm teaching them one thing and not four things. It's, there are other systems that you can use for different companies and different ordering. And it sounds great until you realize that you have to learn 4 or 5 different systems and implement 4 or 5 different ones rather than just one. So just the ease of getting into change will be a lot faster and smoother if there's less change and more consolidated options.
And this cost benefit, right? As optometrists, a lot of us like to save money, not really make what we can. Why is it important not to be enticed by these savings that people are bringing to us by looking at really bigger picture here for the benefit of our practice? You understand that as a business owner, that you want to be running your numbers, not really a rep coming in and telling you this is what could be. Why is that
Right.
important?
As we know, it sometimes costs money to make money. And I don't mind spending a little bit extra if I'm going to get a better product, because we also know that you get what you pay for. So if something is free or too good to be true, there's always a catch. The question is, do you know what that is? What data are these companies collecting on your patients or on you in exchange for the product? There's nothing free. I remember watching The Social Network with my kids, or making them watch it, and they're like, you are the product, because there is no free product. No matter how great something seems, there's always a cost involved. So the question is, what do you want to pay for? I'm willing to pay a little bit more directly to a company that I trust and I believe in and who's going to be there for me, and think that I'm going to get a better product out of that than a company that is going to give me something for free, but do it for a million different practices. Well, I'm now no longer a big enough fish in that pond to matter. So there's always trade-offs and where we want to spend money. I certainly want to make as much as possible. So if I have to spend a couple extra bucks, but I'm able to sell more boxes, then in the long run, that's better off.
So this brings me here to one of our really good features is we all love patients that come in, say this is the greatest eye exam that they've ever had, but then they ask for a copy of their prescription. How has Dr. Contact Lens helped your practice go on the offense with your patients in that scenario?
Well, I like that we try to contact them first when they leave the office, because if they want a copy of their prescription, that's great, but they're going to probably go home. They're going to probably go on their computer. They're going to probably think about it later at night or the next day about ordering. I don't think they're doing it right there in the office. I don't think they're doing it right when they get in their car out of the office. So there is some time in between where we could say, hey, here's the price comparison. Let me just remind you what we talked about. Let me remind you of our relationship. And it gives us that an extra chance to sell them lenses. And then let's say they don't buy from me, or let's say that they buy a small supply, it also automatically will contact them to try to get that sale down the road. So I think it's a two-pronged benefit. I don't know that we saw all the benefit right up front, but a couple months in, we definitely started to see it. And now every month I see it in the form of a check and money coming in.
So how has Dr. Contact Lens changed your practice now and enabled you to really go into the future and where you're not really worried about the competition?
Well, I've never really wanted to worry about competition in general. I'm my only competition. If I don't sell somebody contact lenses, that's on me. That's not because 1-800 is better at marketing or advertising. And I had them in my office, in the chair, talking to my staff, talking to me. And so that's where it really needs to happen. I do think that just with all of these products moving forward, we need to find a way to take the next step, because as doctors, as optometrists, I mean, I'm just a guy, right? I went to optometry school like you did. I didn't go to business school, kind of figuring it out as I go. And it seems to work again with that philosophy of what would I want as the patient. And I think that we try to put a product out there, a total vision care product that there is no competitor for. So certainly we're going to lose some sales. Certainly some people are going to, I mean, I've had patients where I'll beat the price online. They're like, well, that's just where I get them. And, I don't know how to fix that one. But if you give me an opportunity to talk honestly to a patient, and I'm not even shy about telling them what happens when you buy your contacts here or not here. So if they say, this is the greatest exam I ever had, can I have a copy of my prescription? Eventually there's no more eye doctors to give that great exam that they just had. So I don't think that we should be as shy about saying that in a very professional way. I'm not begging people for contact lens sales. I'm just pointing out the same thing that any other small business should point out, because I think it's an important part of the community that we have these small businesses, including optometry, and we should support each other. So I have no problem talking about that pitch. And then when they see that I also have technology that equals some of those bigger rivals and can do a lot of the same things, then they go, okay, this is not only am I going to spend my money there because it's comfortable, I have a great relationship and I trust them, but they're also making it convenient and easy.
If you were to refer Dr. Contact Lens to one of your colleagues, what would you say?
I would say that it's really easy to keep track of everything. I would say that it's going to cut down on the staff time it takes to order, to reorder, to take phone calls, take payments, have people come in. And it's just such an easy company to work with. I think at the beginning we were having some, I don't want to say issues, but connectivity, because we have a really weird system, and calls to the company, online chats, they were answered immediately and everything was resolved. So I would say that the service I got from Dr. Contact Lens kept me at a point where, maybe I would have gone the other way and said, this isn't for me, too complicated, sorry. Just asking questions and getting feedback, doing screen recordings, and they jump on the system and test things out. It made it really easy. So from reducing staff time with patients to excellent service on the other side when we needed it, it's definitely a company that I'd recommend.
Thank you, Dr. Clarin, for taking the time with us today so we could get a peek into your practice and how you guys are benefiting from Dr. Contact Lens.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Brianna.